stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If the clerk can take roll, please.
Trustee Pierce?
Present.
Trustee Masek?
Here.
Most is absent. Trustee Dominiak?
Here,
Trustee Polis?
Here.
Trustee Johnson?
Here.
Mayor Hansen?
Here. Okay. I call this special meeting today with a sense of urgency. I know some of you might be feeling the same way I am. We can discuss the figures, the numbers, cases, and statistics related to this COVID. What we don't have is a full picture or a clear, accurate picture from the governor of our state. Restaurants in our community are fighting to survive, and I say that purposely, cannot take another 18 plus weeks of shutdown or an open-ended path of not knowing. This doesn't mean we should negate the severity of this disease, or does it mean we should not take the precautions. We are the elected body bringing the valued expertise, the opinions, and that experiences. This is our strong set as a board, and we need to bring and share that input and collectively decide how we will proceed as one community. This decision can't come from just one person, nor be done lightly. We support our businesses, shops, and restaurants. How we support them and project that support needs to be determined. This is our town, and we need to make the best decisions for our residents so we have a healthy, safe, and viable business. This is for our patrons to enjoy. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to present this resolution and have the board involved with this, because again, this is a very serious situation that we have very little control over as far as a board, because it is mostly controlled by the state of Illinois and our governor. So I want to open this up to the board for discussion. We do have a resolution here, and hopefully together, working together, we can come up with the best solution that can help our businesses so we can make the survival happen. With that being said, I'd like to open up the floor to see if somebody would like to make a motion to at least get this resolutions on the floor.
I'll make the motion to get the resolution on the floor.
Okay, that was Trustee Pierce making the motion, and I hear Trustee Dominiak, I believe, seconded that motion. If I'm
sure.
correct. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, we'll start with Trustee Pierce, since you're first as far as on our board here. With any comments on this whole situation?
I think it's a very serious situation. You're right, and I appreciate you bringing the board into this. I wish my video was up so I could be up here also, but I don't know what's not working. But in the meantime, I'm very concerned with what the governor's doing, and I think he's being very selective in what he's doing, and I don't think he's properly being selective. And I think the numbers and the figures, as you say, aren't apparent to us as to what's correct. I like what some of the other towns are doing. I looked at what Winthrop Harbor was doing, and not only are they speaking out against this, but they are specifically saying what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. And I think along with questioning the governor, we need to make our businesses know what we're going to do. And as Winthrop Harbor is saying, they will educate, they will notify people of what the governor is requiring, but it's up to the Lake County Health Department and the state enforcement officers to do the enforcement. I think we're just a go-between between them, and we're not the enforcement agency for the governor. So I would like to see further steps added into this resolution that say specifically what we're going to do and what we're not going to do.
Okay. Okay. Well spoken. Anything else, Trustee Pierce, at this time?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Trustee Masek, any comments from your end?
Well, other towns have gone and said they're going to support their businesses. When in fact, what has happened in the last 24 hours, some of the business in Libertyville, they've got enforced with fines, and they've got enforced with days in court. We should all stand here saying we support our businesses. The problem is we don't have the enforcement to tell the governor not to do it, except tomorrow. This is going to be a civics lesson that we do have a day tomorrow on election day. It's been amazing that the people that are running for the House and the Senate haven't come out and helped the village of Antioch in their thought process and helped the businesses with more voices to stand up for the local business, because they're the ones that matter. They're the ones that have the force to impeach the governor. They're the ones that have the voice in the House and the Senate to change the governor's thought process. There hasn't been cases to where specifically in this, and you want to talk science, that there's been cases that he's proven in his voice that specifically come from bars and restaurants. So I just want to let anybody that's on Zoom saying, I'm a supporter of the bars and restaurants, to have another dark winter, 18 weeks. I hope anybody that didn't vote, they're going to look at saying who supported, and if we're going to have a dark winter, that's going to be horrible because he didn't put a plan together to help these bars and restaurants. So I'm supporting the bars and restaurants, but the problem is, we're a community with liquor licenses and gambling license go along with it. And that's all controlled downstate. And at a flip of a switch, they can take that away for a year and they can put the business with big fines. And if a bar loses their liquor license, they're out of business for a year. So the risk to the reward, these businesses are in a pickle. I don't think we're going to sit and enforce it. That's not our job. But I'm just here to say I support the businesses, and what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to order out more just to help the people struggling, for the people that aren't going to the restaurants. So that's pretty much where I stand.
Thank you, Ed. Trustee Dominiac?
I am supportive of the resolution. I believe that there is not enough information being shared with us as to why this decision was being made. Having said that, I did have an opportunity to hear that Mark Pfister, who is the executive director of the Lake County Health Department, shared with Linda Peterson, our board commissioner, that there is not specific data that shows a linkage between people going into a restaurant or bar and getting COVID. What they're finding through contact tracing is that if a bartender or a waitress or a server rather should contract COVID and they do contact tracing, they find other people that have it. They don't know if the bartender gave it to the server gave it to the bartender, if the bartender got it from somewhere outside. The same thing with patrons. People that have been contact traced have identified that they've been in restaurants or bars, but they don't know if they got it there or not. So the challenge is that it's hard to find the data. Having said that, I do believe that we have to pull out all the stops to support our businesses. We are not the enforcement agency. It's basically a complaint-driven process. And as I understand it, if a complaint comes in, it goes to the health department. The health department discusses the complaint with the restaurant or bar. If they continue to not observe the regulations or the orders or whatever you want to call them, then they are referred to the Lake County Liquor Commissioner, who then has apparently some opportunity to invoke the licensure. Now, whether that's, I think that's an unincorporated. But the bottom line is that we're heading in the wrong direction. We're over 8+% positivity. McHenry County is over 13+%. We have to support the businesses within the regulations. And I agree with what was said previously, that we should not be the enforcers of this, but we have to do what we can to support the businesses. The other thing that, to Trustee Pierce's point about the resolution, I would like to also better understand his decision-making about what it is that he is allowing to be open and what not. So as I read it, it looks like things that generate a lot of revenue for the state are being allowed to stay open. The smaller entities are not. I'm really concerned about that. And so I'd like us to think about some language to have him explain how he decided who can stay open and who can't.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Dominiac. Thank you. Trustee Johnson?
Yeah, I think all the trustees make very good points. I think we're all on the same page. I too agree that we should not be the enforcing agency. I've looked at what other towns and communities have done. It sounds like most of them are kind of on the same page as us, that they're not going to necessarily enforce it as well and leave it up to the state. Kind of like Trustee Masick said, the unfortunate thing is we are at the mercy of the health department and at the mercy of people with gaming licenses. Obviously, the state can pull your gaming license. The state can threaten you by taking away your liquor license and so forth. I think, though, as a community, especially the way our community is, I think us as a board need to support all the businesses. I think our businesses have done a great job of following all the phase 4 guidelines that were set by the governor. When I walk into a lot of the places around, everybody has their masks on, they're abiding by things. I don't think the data backs that bars and restaurants are actually causing this. But again, I think a little bit more clarity. I know I've been asked a lot of questions. What are we doing as a village? So I think a little bit more detail in the resolution of where we stand, what we're going to do or what we're not going to do, at least so they could see our side of things. And then some of the businesses can make their own decisions. And then it would be on them to deal with the Lake County Health Department or the state direct if something should not happen. I do not think we have the resources, nor do I think the legalities behind actually enforcing the governor's orders.
Thank you. I did happen to sit in on a few, actually on Zoom calls last week. One was Thursday night as a emergency meeting with the mayor's caucus, and then on noon on Wednesday with the Lake County Municipal League of the mayors. And it was decided with the mayor's caucus that there are over 80 plus municipalities, that's in DuPage, Cook, McHenry, and Lake County, trying to set up a major get together with the governor to get some answers to why he's taken this position. Again, talking with the Lake County Municipal League mayors, they're exactly in the same boat, minus maybe one or two municipalities that went on a limb to basically put something out there that they're not enforcing it in writing. Obviously, we're basically doing the same thing in a roundabout way. The bar and the restaurants know that. But the message has to be clear that we need to fight, we need to support and work every single day to get to the governor and ask him why. And talking to one of our reps today, I had a call into one of our reps on Saturday. Didn't get a return call. I called back today. Luckily, I got an answer. And I questioned the rep on the fact that why would the governor be explaining his position possibly today or tomorrow, why he didn't discuss his position prior to him just putting a message out there that he was going to close the restaurant and bars at 12:01 a.m. on the 31st. Again, we have to abide by those rules, unfortunately, but we also have a right to ask big questions and get answers. And hopefully, as a combined mayor's caucus and with the Lake County Municipal League mayors, hopefully we can get some better answers so we can protect our restaurants, bars. Because what's next? Is he going to go back after the small business operators? And we can't forget the fact that most of these communities, if we lose this industry, not only the jobs that it creates, this is the only industry that's basically bringing these communities downtown districts and overall resources to why they're coming alive again. The days of the mom and pop little clothing stores, shoe stores, and things that we remember 20, 30 years ago, that's all being done mostly online. So again, the supporting businesses like our stores that we have currently in our community are supported by the restaurants and bars. And we were actually on our way to be having a strong economy. And all of a sudden, after a dismal spring with curbside pickups, they finally got to open up at 25%. And I'm sure barely making the doors stay open. What's next? And that's really our concern, is how are we going to not only help them, but how are we going to, as a group, as a board, help promote that as far as advertising and things like that to get everybody through this.
Your Honor,
Yes,
can I follow up 1 second?
sure.
I appreciate everything you're doing. I appreciate everything all the board members are saying, and I think we're all right about the enforcement thing. But I'd like that, as I said earlier, I'd like that spelled out better in the resolution, such as what Winthrop Harbor did in their mayor's statement. But along with this, I'd like to address your part about helping our businesses. I'd like on the next agenda a discussion concerning suspending any of the facade programs or the development programs for downtown and turning those into a COVID relief program. If there's things that we can do to help our businesses, because right now they've got to get through this.
Right.
And if we can help them, I think it's more important to help them than fix a facade.
Yeah.
Your Honor,
Yes, Trustee Dominiak, go ahead.
if I could just add to that, I agree with that. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure that we can come up with some creative ways to do that. But I also think we have to be very much aware of the fact that, and I don't mean to sound doom and gloom, but we're going in the wrong direction. And if you look at the tiers, the next target could be our other small retail businesses. So I would echo Trustee Pierce's suggestion that we start thinking about what we can do to help people, because the restaurants, even though they're not operating at full capacity, have some potential for income. Our smaller retail shops don't have that flexibility. And if they get shut down again, I think we're going to see a lot of empty storefronts in town.
Well
So
said.
anything
And
we can do to educate the public, anything we can do to educate the public about the importance of washing your hands, watching your distance, and wearing masks is critical. Thank you.
yeah, it seems like we're going back to when we first started this whole thing, better together, that slogan we had. We need to probably start from the beginning again and just look back and see how we survived that. But we need to be even stronger, and this time with these other, it's not just Antioch. I think we need to go in force with all the communities together and again, find out why these numbers are going up. Is it because of the flu? Is there reasons why? I'm not a expert in that field. I'm not a doctor. So obviously I wouldn't have those answers, but we sure can ask and see if we can't get those answers so we can better know ourselves. So, So I'm going to ask the attorney here, what we can do to incorporate some of these wishes of the board in this, and give us an example, Bob, and maybe Scott, where you'd want to fit this language in. And Bob, you being the attorney for Winthrop Harbor, you might have the luxury of having some of those things at your fingertips.
Literally, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I wrote the letter for the mayor in Winthrop Harbor, and that came out. You know, every community is a little bit different, so we've tailored our messages in different locations. You know, in Waukegan, they haven't had the luxury of having time to deal with this particular issue yet because of the police shooting that happened weeks ago. But Winthrop Harbor, they did look at it, and they came to many of the same conclusions you folks did. You know, their situation is even more grim, if you will, simply because they didn't have much in the way of a downtown district or a tax base to start with. You had a little bit more room to work with, but it's still a tough situation. So what I can do is I can incorporate that language that Trustee Pierce talked about. I can toss in something into the resolution to ask the governor to give us a little more explanation of how he made his choices. And I think that would cover both those specific issues that you've raised here today. I can add that to the resolution if you'd like.
We also have, I noticed Tom Shaughnessy's on the meeting as a panelist. Does he have an input he wants to provide from the township viewpoint?
First of all, thanks for inviting me and including the township in this call. I appreciate that very much. I have not had a chance to read the Winthrop Harbor mayor's notice. One of the things that Scott mentioned, and I think it's a very fine line, obviously everybody knows it's a fine line. You can't write something to encourage the businesses to break the law. And we can't tell them that we're going to turn our back on them breaking the law, but we want to encourage them to break the law. We also have to tell them how we have the risk and reward. You can break the law, but you might lose your liquor license for a year. I don't know if you can throw any safety net underneath any of these businesses that are going to make them feel comfortable with, quote, breaking the law. I think it was Jerry that mentioned that everybody's doing the phase 4 guidelines great. I think everything was working fine. The numbers that the governor's reporting are skewed the wrong way. I think they're deliberately being slanted that way. Personally, I think that. And I don't know that there's a way around it. I think the municipalities have too much to lose from road taxes, and the governor can be vindictive in a lot of different ways in holding back things in municipalities. I don't know if we need to be the leader in that and take on the point, but I really think that's the dilemma. And maybe Bob, I like I said, I didn't read the Winthrop Harbor report, but maybe you've got wording that handles that, and I'm just not aware of it. But no, there's nothing that we can do here at the township to help. I do think that the business stimulus videos that we have, I think we need to bring those out again and maybe come up with some type of a rallying promotion, maybe something along similar like Trustee Masick said about ordering out. I think Fox Lake had some really creative wording, order out to help our people through this. I forget exactly the wording. It was some pretty clever wording on it. See, oh, I know. It was support our local business through carry out to carry them through. Something along those lines. It goes along with what you were saying, Larry, about we're working together. I do think we have to encourage all the 3 Ws like everybody's been saying, but I think the real dilemma is telling them that we don't agree with the governor, but we're not going to turn our back, but we don't encourage you to break the law. But if you break the law, these are the risks that you're going to have. So,
if you'd like, Tom, I can read the language from the Mayor Bruno's letter. It said, for clarity, the Village of Winthrop Harbor will take an incremental approach with regard to the governor's order and mitigation efforts. The village will provide outreach and education informing residents, visitors, and businesses about mitigation efforts. Complaints received by the village administration, code enforcement, or public safety departments will be limited to verbal counseling to a business owner manager on observed violations. If compliance is not obtained, the complaint will be forwarded to the Lake County Public Health Department for further investigation and/or enforcement. No further action will be taken by the village. The village will not be issuing citations for liquor, gaming, or other business violation under the governor's orders. Enforcement methods may be implemented by state legal organizations at their discretion. The reason it's written that way in Winthrop Harbor is in large part because this town does not have the resources to go and investigate and do the shutdowns. They can't. They don't have the budget. They just don't have it. They don't have a large police force. They got a very small force in comparison to even Antioch's. And to try to take officers off the street gets them into, you're yakking at a bar with a bartender that may not be happy about being shut down when you got a domestic going on and you have to and you have to figure out where your priorities lie. And that's where this decision really came from. It wasn't, and I don't want to make it ever seem like this town Winthrop Harbor doesn't care about enforcement of laws. It's not that. Part of it too, it's a matter of resources on the one hand, and secondly, there's nothing in the actual Emergency Management Agency Act or in any of the other powers that the governor is utilizing that says that he can commandeer local police departments to help him enforce those orders. And that's a big factor in what we were looking at when we tried to make a determination on what resources can we provide, how can we do it, and you can't say that the law shouldn't be obeyed. That's an inappropriate message for any governmental agency. But at the same time, you have to look at the practicalities of what can you do, what powers have you got, and how do you make this work, recognizing that there are differences between and the approaches people use. One of the bar owners in town, as a matter of fact, in Winthrop Harbor, is generally speaking, he's as close to a libertarian as I've ever seen anywhere in my life. Hates government regulations and intrusions into the way he's got businesses. And yet, as soon as we sat down and talked to him, and he looked at us and he said, "I'm not taking a risk of losing my liquor license for a year or 2 years. I'm going to shut down. I'm going to be done. I'm not running that. I'll sell out the door, sell packaged goods, and that's it." So that's the kind of attitude that we are seeing. It's not that you're not seeing compliance. It's people are trying to figure out how in the God's green earth can I still do business? Can I make a profit and, provide some income to me, my family, pay my bills, the people that rely so heavily on me for whether it's the wait staff, the bartenders, the cooks, and the rest of them. Everybody has been hurt by this, up to and including landlords, as everyone knows, and the banks too. That the landlords can't pay their mortgages because they're not getting revenue.
Excuse me, Bob, you finished?
Yeah.
I have to go back and apologize. We have a trustee, did not even get a chance to say anything. That's Trustee Polis. Trustee Polis, are you there? You want to give your intake if you want to say anything? I apologize for that.
That's okay. I think pretty much everything's been said. I concur with, I don't think that we shouldn't enforce this stuff. The numbers are being skewed. Funny that the number of flu cases are way down from before, because from what a couple of people told me that do testing is that someone with a basic flu will test positive for COVID, but not vice versa. And since everybody's testing right up front for COVID, they're just calling them all COVID. But in either that or COVID's cleared, there's been a cure for the flu, and there's just no more flu cases anymore. So the numbers are definitely being skewed. Whatever we can do to help the businesses, I'm all for. And I do think that, we should definitely not be in the enforcement business and leave it up to the businesses to do what they want to do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I know staff has been working on some things internally. I know our community development department's working on some things. I don't know if Michael could share that with the board at the present time, but I know he's been working on, him and Ross been working closely on this whole subject. I don't know if it's too early, Michael, or not, but if you just want to brief the board a little bit as far as what you're working on as part of your plan. Is Michael here? Thought I saw him in here. If not, I know they're working.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can. Go ahead, Michael.
Yes, thank you. We are working on a interactive map with information pertaining to those businesses, specifically dining opportunities as it relates to takeout and local shopping opportunities. It's our goal to have this interactive map basically updated and active within the next week to provide some assistance and relief for small businesses. We think that we'll probably be back to where we were, at least in the spring and early summer, as more and more businesses will rely on takeout dining. So we'd like to continue to work with those businesses, have dedicated parking spaces as takeout dining obviously becomes more active and more important for their businesses. Obviously, as it relates to outdoor dining, based on the timing of the year and the weather, those opportunities are limited. So we're making an active effort to work with small businesses and get the word out that we're here to assist them as it relates to highlighting those businesses that have outdoor dining, takeout and small local retail businesses.
Okay, thank you on that. Thank you on that. I don't know if there's anything else. The only other thing before we vote on it, if the board feels comfortable with this resolution, I just want to caution the board that this is a serious situation and we have to be careful how we all message this. We have to be precise in how we message this so we don't put a false out there so people don't trust even what they read. And obviously it's got to be factual I would ask that hopefully the village can take the lead on that as far as from the village itself and put the message out that we all agree to. If that's a way of putting it across to you. So I'll ask the board if that's the approach they want to use on that. Trustee Pierce? I guess he's not there. Trustee Pierce, you there? I don't know if you heard me or not.
I heard you. I had two mutes going, my computer mute and my phone mute.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Technology's beyond me sometimes. I said, I agree with you. We need to be careful with what we say. And I'd like to amend my motion to include the suggested changes from the board as Bob writes them, and just ask Bob to share them with us before it's released.
Okay, fair enough. Trustee Masek, your thoughts?
I agree with it.
With the messaging?
Yeah.
Okay. Trustee Dominiac?
I agree, and I'll second the amendment.
Okay, thank you very much. Trustee Polis?
I'm fine with it the way it is.
Okay, all right. With the changes? Okay.
Yeah.
And Trustee Johnson? Trustee Johnson, you there?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, now we can. Are you okay with that? With
Yeah.
the messaging and all that in the resolution? We can't hear you.
I'm okay with it with the changes.
Okay,
with the changes.
good, good. Okay, that's all we had on the agenda today. Obviously, I know it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and one might say that we picked a bad time, but it was all based on everybody's schedules and other meetings and stuff tonight, and we just felt it was important we get this done today. So that being said, I'll ask the clerk to take the roll, please.
Trustee Pierce,
Aye.
trustee Masek,
Yes.
trustee Dominiac,
Yes,
Polis,
Yes.
trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Okay, we got 5 voting yes, 1 trustee is absent. The motion is carried. I'll instruct the attorney to make sure that before this thing gets put out, that we get those changes made and we can all see them.
Mayor, can I make one comment?
Sure, go right ahead. That's
You know,
trustee Polis.
whether we were in favor of gaming originally or not, you know, that's one way we can help these restaurants. They still are open for gaming. So, you know, if we can help promote that, they can still make some revenue off of the video games in their establishments.
Okay, thank you. And in the meantime, I'll work with the administration here to follow up with the mayor's caucus and the municipal league mayors to see where our next steps are to get the message to the governor of where we're at. So that we'll work diligently on that. That being said, we took the roll, so all in favor? Go ahead.
The motion.
That all in
passed.
favor of adjourning?
We just need a motion to adjourn at this point.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by, I believe Pierce, I heard, and second by trustee Johnson. All in favor by signal by saying aye.
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 Thank you all for coming. This meeting's over. We'll talk to you soon, everybody.